What is going on, guys? Welcome to The Reformed Reader, the channel where we review different forms of media through the lens of a Christian who is under the authority of the scriptures. My name is Josh, and today is part 2 of my bookshelf tour. Now, after many of you have asked what I have on my bookshelves and you'd like to see it, hopefully you watched number 1 where I covered this shelf over here. Today we're going to cover what most would call my primary bookshelf, so stay tuned if you're interested, and I'll see you guys in a minute.
Dang! What's up with all these books?
Now we're started over here on what probably most people consider or would consider my main bookshelf. My little girl made me this for Christmas. Really cute. Really appreciate it. Yeah, so gotta have that. And then so let's just start with the stuff in the front. We're big Pokemon people in this house. My son loves it, and so we've been collecting cards, and he got this really cool and wanted to keep it on the shelf. And then we also got into the Magic the Gathering when it came out with the Lord of the Rings sets, and I actually pulled this one out of a pack and we had it graded, and it was a Gem Mint 10. It's really cool, so we wanted to hang on to those. Then I actually have, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but it's the One Ring. And the reason why it looks faded and scratched up is because it was my wedding band, which that's what my wedding band is now. It's just a black version. So anyway, moving over here, I have the original box set, or I say original, the box set of the Lord of the Rings books when I came into them, which had the cool movie covers. So yeah, really had to pick those up. Saw them at a thrift store for I think $4. So yeah, pick those up. And then I got this as a Christmas gift a couple years ago. We've yet to use it, but we plan to. And yes, there is the recipe for Samwise's Coney stew. And then I have this illustrated copy of The Hobbit, which I picked up. It's really neat. I probably shouldn't have, just because, I mean, it's not an old copy, and it's mass produced, but it is cool. Is it $30 cool? Maybe. I've got so many copies of The Hobbit now that I almost didn't need this. So I bought this so that way I could hand it down to my kids later. And then probably my favorite book, if not on this shelf then of all time, is this one right here. And it's the one that my little girl did for me. So she made a fantasy book for me. She spent weeks and weeks doing this, not prompted by her mama or by me, and she wrote me a fantasy book and illustrated it for Christmas, and it is just so cool. So I have that over here. I plan to get that laminated or something before too long. I do not want that to get messed up. All right, moving on. I've got this copy of Lord of the Rings. As you can tell, half of the shelf is Lord of the Rings, but I've got this like faux leather copy that I picked up. This is gonna be good for actually picking up and reading. And then I have these illustrated editions of, I picked up Fall of Numenor. I think somebody actually picked this up for me at Costco because I think they were running a deal on them for like $20. And they had this one and the Silmarillion together. And it's got the cool sprayed edges. Yeah, so I picked both of those up. And then as a Christmas gift a couple of years ago, my wife got me these super cool illustrated edition of the Lord of the Rings books, which I'm having trouble pulling out. Yeah, really cool. Have not read through these. Super cool to have. Yeah, super cool gift. All right, and then moving on, I do have a Broken Binding subscription. I'm just tier 2 right now, and so when most of them I haven't really been all that interested in, but when they announced the Dragon Bone chair and I saw this cover, I absolutely had to keep it. I mean, this is probably the coolest cover of all the books that I own as far as artwork goes. Such a cool cover. And they have these sprayed edges with the swords on them. So I've got Dragon Bone chair, the Stone of Farewell. To Green Angel Tower, they had to split into 2 volumes because of how thick it was, which I am not complaining at all because of how pretty they are. And then obviously, second half. Really cool. And then I did pick up a copy of The Will of the Many by James Islington. This is the Broken Binding edition. It's really nothing Not really a whole lot special to it, other than it is signed. Yeah, there we go. So it is signed. It does have these cool edges, and and this is where they re-released the new cover art, which is what they'll be going with going forward. So I did pick that up. I plan to read this very soon. And then next, I have the Lycanius trilogy, which I've talked a lot about, and I really wanted the hardcover copies, but I was not a huge fan of the American hardcover copies because they had the little color coding, but it was like up here near the top, and it had the 1, 2, and 3. And to me, it just looked a little bit uglier. These just look a lot more sleek. And then since I was getting the UK editions, I had to get the colored edge or the sprayed edges on them. Unfortunately, the only one that I don't have with the sprayed edges is book 2, which I'm still looking for. So if you have it and you want to sell it, let me know. But yeah, I got all 3 of these and I picked them up on the secondhand market. Excellent trilogy. So then moving down to the next shelf, we have a little 3D printer, and we love the Miyazaki movies. And so we got some little shelf decorations here of Totoro and his gang. Then I have, obviously, the Wheel of Time. I have purchased each one of these books at a thrift store. And so that's been my goal. The reason why I don't have all of them yet is because I want to find a copy of each book at the thrift store. Now I can buy a new copy, but I don't want to do that. I want to find an original hardcover copy at a thrift store. So that's just a weird little challenge that I have set for myself. But yeah, that's why I don't have the entire series yet, and I plan to start Eye of the World probably at the end of the year. But most of these are actually first editions. Over here in the binder, I talked about how we got into the Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering. That's what this is. This is our collection of the Lord of the Rings cards. You've got some all different kinds. I mean, and so this is what we've picked up so far. There's no way we can complete the set because it's just too expensive, but I really loved these art cards. I mean, I just thought they were really, really cool. And so I am going to try to collect all of the art cards because they're only worth like a couple cents a piece. But yeah, anyway, moving on down, I have my Robin Hobb collection, which is the Farseer trilogy, which I read and loved, and then the Live Ship Traders, which I have not started yet, but plan to probably in May or June. Just with it being a nautical fantasy, I think that would be sort of the perfect timing for it to read one a month. I've heard mixed things. I've heard some people say that I'm gonna really like it, and I've heard other people say that I may DNF it. I hope I don't. I hope I love it. But yeah, looking forward to jumping into that later. Then I picked up this really cool copy of the Threadlight trilogy by Zach Argyle. If y'all don't know Zach, if you watch BookTube at all, Bookborn is her husband. He is a fantasy author, and he released this trilogy of books that is sort of Mistborn-esque, but then he put out this really cool Kickstarter edition. Man, that is just a gorgeous book. I have not started it yet. I think I'm going to maybe start it in the winter because it seems like that tends to be sort of the right season to read it. I know that sounds silly, but I'm a mood reader, and so that's sort of how I do things. And then the last one on the shelf is By Blood, by Salt by J.L. Odom. I read this one. I enjoyed it. It didn't really sink its hooks in me like I wanted it to, but it very well could be because book 2, that maybe it's, building up to book 2, which J.L. Odom just released. I have not done a dedicated review for this yet, but will soon. But yeah, I did enjoy this one quite a bit. All right, and before we jump down to the next shelf, I did want to mention that my friend Sarah Grace had this bookmark made for me of the best scene in the series, in the movie series. Gets me every time. And so Molly Anderson actually did that for me. So thank you so much to Molly and Sarah Grace. I do use it quite a bit. But then going down to the middle shelf here, I'm not going to go into depth on all these because I've done a dedicated review for both of these. So I've got Dune, got this anniversary copy of Name of the Wind. I've got the standard hardcover of Wise Man's Fear because we're not going to get a special edition of this. And then I have the copy of The Slow Regard of Silent Things, which was actually really good. I do not recommend picking up the other novella. And I'll just leave it there. You can check my Goodreads if you want to know why. Then I have another guitar pedal here, and this is an overdrive pedal, which I absolutely love. This is my favorite guitar sound in a box, basically. And I will never get rid of this. I absolutely love this pedal. It's really, really cool. Also, it's cool that when you turn it on, the light and the lantern lights up. So yeah, really cool. And then I picked up the Mother of Learning series. But did back the Kickstarter to get all 4 of these. Really looking forward to getting into these. I've heard nothing but good things. I mean, it's had like unanimous praise. So yeah, really looking forward to jumping into that series. All right, then moving over, we have Garden the Garden, which I just talked about on the channel. Really love this book, absolutely loved it, and wanted to support Zach and picked up his entire catalog of the Stone and Sky series. I'm reading this currently so far. It's very good. It's very similar to Garden the Garden, but not cozy. This is more of an epic fantasy, but these covers are super cool too. But yeah, excellent books. Then I have a lightsaber that my kids love to play with. Get into that later. And then I have this cool wooden plaque that my son actually got like a wood burning tool and made this for me for Christmas without me knowing. So really cool. Yeah, he knows me well. And then I have the Rhaenyra Revelations trilogy. I've talked about that recently. I do plan to start this one this month. Then we have another Kickstarter, Paths of Sona. I'd never heard anything about it. It was a cheap Kickstarter by Wraithmark, and so I went ahead and picked it up. I don't know when or if I'm even going to read it. The cover looked real cool, and I think I will read it at some point because it kind of looks like something my son would like. But yeah, orcs riding a giant owl looks pretty cool. Then I have Harbinger of Justice by Andrew Watson, another guy on YouTube. If you guys haven't watched this channel, he was actually in one of my collaboration videos. I plan to start that soon. And because I love Jim Butcher so much, I had to pick up his son's series. I have not started it yet. I do want to, just have to be in the right mood for it. So when I get ready to pick up something that is Dresden-esque, I think I'm gonna jump into this. And I think this is like fantasy academia type of a series. And then I have one of my favorite books of all time, The Martian by Andy Weir. I have this really cool Books A Million edition. I just love that cover, so I had to grab that. And then I have his entire catalog here with Artemis and Project Hail Mary. Artemis is sort of a miss for me. Project Hail Mary I really loved the first time I read it, and I was mixed on my reread. But yeah, great books. And then down here I have my dragon shelf, as you can see. So we have Shenron down here watching over it, but we have this illustrated copy of Aragon that's my son's that he got for Christmas. And then I have left space for several reasons. You'll find out why in the future. Yeah, this is sort of my dragon fantasy. These were picked up at a thrift store. I don't know anything about them, but for $1, hard to pass up. Combat codes. I do want to start this soon. I know that it has a lot of jiu-jitsu combat in it, and as somebody that has practiced jiu-jitsu for like 20 years, yeah, I really want to dive into this one. But again, I just have to be in the mood for it. This was a gift from my bride for Christmas a couple years ago, and for some reason I just keep forgetting about it. But I do plan to pick it up before too long. Then we have the standardized version of Aragon, all in hardcover. All of these were picked up at a thrift store, so I got them for pretty cheap. And then I bought my son Murtagh on top of that as a second. I think I got it for $3. So yeah, more dragon books. Again, don't know much about them, but got a deal. So, and then over here we have the Bound and the Broken series, which is fantastic. The 4th book just came out. I don't know when I'm going to start it because it is thicker than this one. But yeah, I've got all the hardcover copies. So yeah, pretty cool. And down here I have one of my favorite comics of all time. I'm not a big comic guy, but I had to read this one and I had to own a copy of it. The Death of Superman. Such a cool cover. And under here I have, this is another sort of just smattering of randomized books. Here I have a play mat for when my son and I play Magic Gathering. Pretty cool. These two were gifts by my brother and sister-in-law. This one I picked up recently at a thrift store. This, Brian Lee Durfee sent me a signed copy. And so that is super cool. I've got a little bit of Terry Pratchett. I've got Narnia. And then I've got some Christian fiction here. These, I will do a review on them soon. I don't know. I wasn't crazy about them. I've heard good things about this. Mark of the Raven by Morgan L. Buss. Yeah, and then these are just kind of, Fox. Excellent book. And then I found this huge copy of the Circle series by Ted Dekker. Yeah, and so just sort of some randomized books here. I've got, let's see. I found The Last Kingdom by Bernard Cornwell at a thrift store. All these are thrift store finds. So, yeah, it might seem like a strange conglomeration of books. Found this Naomi Novik book, which is really cool, at a thrift store for like $1. Didn't even know she wrote a dragon series. And then I found this really cool copy of Pilgrim's Progress, which I picked up. And then I have City of Thieves by David Benioff, which I plan to read very soon. Sea of Rust and its prequel, Day Zero. I've read Sea of Rust, really enjoyed it. Plan to read Day Zero fairly soon. And then I've got a couple of Star Wars books. Darth Maul Shadowhunter, which I just finished up. Death Troopers, and I've got some more in my bedroom. I've got book 1 of the Cradle series by Will White. And then just another thrift store find, which I thought sounded cool. So I picked it up. And then I have a couple of mass market paperbacks. I have this one on the shelf just because I just did a review of it, which is up on the channel. And then I have Monster Hunter International and Vendetta, which I'm currently listening to on audio. All right, guys, that does it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I'm sorry it takes so long for me to go through my bookshelves. If you guys are interested and you want to see my third bookshelf, which is sort of my overflow, it's a bit of a mess, leave a comment down in the comment section below so I know whether or not you guys actually like this content or not. But we will be back in the next video with another book review. But if you do want to see part 3 of this series, leave a comment down below. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. If you're new, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell to let you know when I post new videos or new shorts. So I post normally every Sunday, Wednesday, and my shorts normally on Friday. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.